Hey, this is Marwah Zahaf physician speaking from EEB about human clone mismatch, sexual pathways, and specifically first degree marriage, rape, and adultery. We do have a second topic about human clone mismatch through unusual sex pathways and their impact on gene expression. We know that it's a human right and it's a women's right to have clear and medical education about the underlying mechanism of disease-induced, non-ethical and non-lawful sex, and that would minimize crime rate and ensuring health-free normal life expectancy. Before we starting describing every relationship, we want you to understand the component of a human being. So we have a three component. The first component is clay, that is water and soil. The second component is Nafs. And Nafs is another creature embedded in clay, responsible for emotion and thinking. And Nafs energy, Nafs ranges from contented to blaming Nafs to evil like Nafs. It's considered the computer that controls the body. Then the other or the third component of human being is aura energy that is transferred from the Holy Spirit to us to give us life and function and superpower in some individual. The aura energy ranges from light to none to fire-like energy of devil Nafs. And so the human status based on those three components is ranging from being humane that has contented Nafs and light energy to the other side of the spectrum where we do have animal-like human, those who have evil Nafs and fire-like energy. The animal species or the animal clones, those human represented in Quran and Judaism, including dogs and monkeys, dogs and donkeys. And the other term I need you to understand is how the aura produces. So each DNA of every cell illuminate, and the illumination could be in the light spectrum, the illumination energy, as we say, either light, none, or fire-like energy. It makes every cell in the light spectrum side of the spectrum is to the light represented in planet of perils. So based on that, the aura have the same imprint as the DNA, and I call it aura-DNA-imprint. So, and that is our point of discussion. So during sex, that is complete penetration of penis into the vagina, there would be aura-DNA imprint that is altering the gene expression of the rapidly dividing lining of vagina and uterus. And there would be also conduction of energy through the autonomic nervous system to the central nervous system and then to the whole body. That is another aura-DNA imprint, sort of alteration of emotions. And there is the third type of energy, aura energy transfer, that is through a direct contact of both bodies. And accordingly, we have something that is in common between the three religions, where after 3 to 4 months of shedding the reproductive cell lining, a woman can start a new relationship because her husband aura won't be there. It would be shedded by the shedding cells. And if we have a relationship during the 3 or 4 to 4 months after the last sex of her husband, there would be a genetic errors of having aura-DNA-imprint alteration of genes on top of the altered genes of her first husband. The same is true if she's pregnant and she got divorced, then the second sexual relationship with the other husband would also alter the gene expression of the rapidly dividing embryo and fetus. Having multiple sexual partners would lead to difficulty in claiming the original biological father. And so, relationship during this time period, namely pregnancy or 3 to 4 months based on law and religion, would be considered adultery in Judaism and Islam, and it's forbidden. Other than that, women, of course, who are divorced are allowed to remarry again and started a new life. Also, a man can have multiple marriage at the same time because there is no direct alteration of his sexual organs that is specifically so there would be no alteration of product of conceptus because he is obviously not the mother, and there would be also no direct genetic errors in his sexual organs based on sex relationship with other women. The first relationship that we wanted to emphasize and its effect on genes, inducing gene errors, is the first degree marriage. What we mean by first degree marriage is parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, grandkids. We do have aunt and uncles. We do have a breastfed mothers and her kids. We do have surrogate mothers and her kids. We do have a step family, so stepfather, stepmother, stepkids. We cannot marry too because of the same status. The genes. The gene that, the aura-DNA imprint that is altered, that has altered the genes. And so, excluding marriage to sister and brothers because of the same religion, the relationship that has attained because of the same religion, and parent-sibling relationship because of that, has attained because of kind and wise deals in society, all those relationships are forbidden. Now, I'm going to give you an example. So, a wife would have the same gene expression of her husband carried in her reproductive tract, and that made her sexual relationship with sister, brother-in-laws, and parent-in-laws are forbidden. But to her brother-in-law would be considered temporary, as it would be lawful after her divorce if she would marry her brother-in-law, but it would be permanent it would be forbidden permanently for her father-in-law, because I believe her sex with her husband would alter a prime in certain area in the brain that is responsible in emotions. And being in close contact with her parent, with her parent-in-law, that would induce a permanent change in that area, and that would make her parent-in-law relationship is forever. So again, marrying to first degree relative will having a gene expansion error, and that will induce a spectrum of diseases, including autoimmune diseases and cancer. That gene expansion would be minimum, if null, between cousins, and in Islam it's lawful to have to be married from cousins. In adultery, women and men will have a negative aura, DNA energy. Thus, they are acting like animal. Sorry to say that. And that relationship resemble animal clones that could be dogs, monkeys, pigs, or donkeys, and that has to be studied thoroughly. In that sense, there would be so that negative aura-DNA imprint, as we said, fire-like, following instincts, would cause genetic errors resulting in a spectrum of diseases, including autoimmune and cancer. And since there would be also transfer of energy from the reproductive organs to the central nervous system by autoimmune, by autonomic nervous system, there would be also an imprint of emotion that is altered also. And that includes sense of shame, guilt, anxiety, depression, social stigmata, and that emotion, psychosocial emotions, would be transferred through their negative aura to their close contacts, including relative friends, and unfortunately, the rapidly dividing and growing children and infants. And so it's advisable to refrain from this relationship and getting married to your loving one, so you would have secured your emotions. Then the third relationship, which is rape. A rape is defined as forced sex. So rape, we do have two types of rape. That is coerced but not considered crime, and that's between wife and husband. So both of them would be having in that relationship a negative or DNA imprint. And so both, one of them, and so they would be acting like animal, and that resulting in negative aura energy transfer, resulting in stress and anxiety and a spectrum of diseases, including autoimmune disease and cancers. That is either local in the reproductive organ of the women or generalized disease affecting both men and women. And the second type of rape is forced adultery, which is considered crime. What we mean by forced adultery that is considered crime is having complete penetration of penis to the vagina. Otherwise, it would be considered harassment in Islam, and the penalty of both are clearly mentioned in law and religion of every country and every individual. And so by that forced adultery, both of them are having negative energy, negative aura DNA imprinting, sort of gene alteration, and that would lead to genetic alteration, resulting in a spectrum of diseases and ranges from psychosocial to somatic, and that includes autoimmune disease and cancer on long run. I do have a friend who had forced rape, and after 1 year from that incident, she got a blood tumor, namely lymphoma, and she died within a year. And it was a tragic story. So it's not a simple thing to have one of those relationships, and it's advisable to refrain from those, and not to do those. I hope for you healthy and enjoyable life, full of happiness and joy. Till I see you again, you have a wonderful day.